Hey everyone, and welcome to Television from the Multiverse, the DC Comics TV podcast from Multiverse TV. I am Peter, and joining me as always is Connor.
That sounded like more of a mouthful than usual.
I did it all in one breath. Why waste time taking breaths in the intro? You can just get it all out in one go.
Yeah, who needs to breathe?
So, yeah, we talk about DC TV shows. Obviously, this is going to be the second half of Crisis on Infinite Earths, the big crossover. Which they split up over Christmas, which honestly I think was a bad idea now that I've watched the whole thing. I think the hype getting into the last two parts was oddly deflated because there was time to just sort of calm down and forget about it.
Yeah, they talked about how all this time passing. Technically, yes.
Yeah, it's time passing that makes no sense though. What were they eating? What were they doing for like 4 months or whatever it was? I think it was 7 actually. It was 7 months. I said, yeah. Like, what were they doing? Like, okay, fine, Barry's in the Speed Force, and to him it's a split second, but what were the rest of them eating?
Magic. I mean, let's be honest, the answer here is Speed Force, bro.
That only explains, but that does not explain them.
No, it doesn't, but
I'm going to just
extrapolate.
I'll buy that maybe Kara can go 7 months without eating because she's Kryptonian. Maybe Jean too, but like...
I mean, it's not like there's a sun there.
But, you know, Lex and... Yeah, well, Kara still got her powers when they land on the planet afterwards, so I mean... Whatever.
Yeah, I know.
But like, you know, Lex and Ryan and Batwoman, they all need grub. they definitely need to eat.
I move the motion to nominate that we refer to her only as Bat Lady from now on.
Bat Lady. Yeah, that's amusing. So first things first, we have to explain something here. If you haven't heard on any of the other shows that we've talked about this will be our last episode of Television from the Multiverse because we can't do this anymore. I cannot put myself through these shows. We cancelled it in summer, and we were sort of talked back into bringing it back for the actual CW shows coming back, and you know everyone wanted to get to Crisis at least. And honestly, the last 3 months, being October through December, it was a struggle. It was a struggle to watch these shows every week when none of them really were particularly good. I mean, Arrow had a couple of decent episodes. Batwoman wasn't as bad as the others.
How weird is it that Arrow was the half decent
I know,
one this year?
I know, but the Flash and Supergirl were pretty dire to get through. And I'm not going to say that I'm definitely not going to watch any of these shows ever again. I probably will binge them when I just want background noise, but actually paying attention because I have to review them, that's done.
Yeah, I'll probably I'll probably finish off the last 3 episodes of Arrow just because there's like, is it 3? I think
2. I think
2. Well,
because this was 8 in one of these 2. So
was it? Okay.
Yeah, the first episode of this 2 was 8. Yeah.
Okay, fair enough. Then in that case, I'll just finish it off. So I can go. All right, I finished Arrow.
Yeah, I mean, obviously I do want to watch Legends because Legends is good.
Yeah,
and we'll get to what it teases at the end of this for new shows. But like I might end up binging all of them anyway at some point. But I'll do it whilst I'm playing video games and they're just background noise. I'll do it when I can just kind of have that, because let's be honest, you don't have to pay that much attention to most of these shows. Most of the time they're just regurgitating the same old crap.
I get through most of these blind drunk as it is. So.
Yeah. And I mean, the other catalyst for this is that we had ideas for other shows. So if you're actually interested in the comic books, then we have good news for you, because we started a new comic book podcast called Previously in the Multiverse, which will alternate with Elsewhere in the Multiverse, previously being old DC comics to go alongside Comics from the Multiverse, which is us talking about new DC comics, which we do with Matt, and we've been doing that since long before this show even started. That goes all the way back to start of Rebirth from May 2016. But so we're doing old DC comics in one show, and then Elsewhere will be kind of a return as well, but that'll be like other publishers and stuff that we just happen to be reading. And we tried doing Elsewhere before, like last year, and eventually had to give it up because it was too much of a burden. But we decided that we would rather read more comic books than watch the shows
These
every week.
Particular shows, yeah.
Obviously, we still plan on reviewing Doom Patrol when that starts. We'll definitely still review pilots as they come. But other than that, case by case basis. If it's not worth reviewing on its own merits per show, then because as much as I love Legends, I don't think a single review of Legends each week is actually that worthwhile. So
no, probably not. And we love Legends.
Yeah, as a 10-15 minute segment on an overall show, it was fine, but ultimately it's a zany little comedy, and it's like doesn't make for a whole lot of discussion. So So this is our finale. This is, us going out with a bang. Do we come back and review the crossovers in the future? Yeah, maybe. I mean,
see how we feel.
I'm more inclined to watch those than anything else, from the shows. So
yeah.
So maybe, but as far as the week-to-week shows go, I just can't do it to myself anymore, guys. I just can't. I can't pretend to care. I'm so deflated with these shows, and it actually makes the ending of this, and I'm just going to refer to this as one big episode rather than two separates, but it makes the ending of this really frustrating because it does a pretty decent job of teasing like the multiverse going forward and teasing all these things. It basically made me go, Stargirl has to be good now, because that little that little 3-second clip with Stripe, like, and this new GSA that she's got, like, I
need that.
Yeah, I need that, and I need it to be good. And I'm worried that because it's going to be on CW now, that it's going to be, at best, good CW tier, which is...
To be fair, that is still better than Swamp Thing.
Sure, but I don't care. I don't care if it's still better than Swamp Thing. I want it to be better than the other CW shows at their best. I want that, I mean, Johns is behind the whole thing, so maybe it will have that magic, because he even had some good episodes of Smallville when Smallville was doing nothing but absolute garbage. So it's entirely possible that it'll have the charm that it needs to work. But yeah, so that was a fun tease. Obviously, I mean, I don't know why we're skipping to this now, but I brought up Stargirl, so I was going to mention the other ones. They brought up Green Lantern as a thing. Now, I'm pretty sure these shots were taken from the movie as a little cheat, but it isn't a complete bullshit move, because they are actually developing a Green Lantern show for HBO Max. So there is still some, there's a genuine, hey, this is coming soon kind of feel to it.
No, it is. It's kind of interesting in the sense that we should just quickly mention the fact that the multiverse only exists now in a limited capacity. They kind of refined it a little bit.
I would just kind of ignore that and say, no, the multiverse still exists. It's just a different multiverse than what there was before. Meaning that Earth 1 and 38 have merged, as we kind of expected to happen.
And Black Lightning's one as well.
Oh, yeah, sure. Yeah, his Earth, whatever number that was, has also merged, which is interesting. But, Titans is still its own Earth. Doom Patrol's its own Earth. I love when it was doing the montage at the end. When it cut to Doom Patrol, they were just dancing.
That is the most Doom Patrol thing possible, though, isn't it?
And it makes me wonder, like, did they capture this, like, with the onset, shooting season 2 right now, and they said, hey, can we get a quick shot of you all dancing for this? Or is this just, like, cutting room floor material from season 1 that, for some reason, they just had a shot of them all dancing?
It feels like it was promo material.
Sure, okay, I can see that. Because the Titans clips feel like they're just clips from the episodes edited together. They didn't feel like they were specific material.
But don't get me wrong. This is absolutely something that could have been in an episode of Doom Patrol, and they decided to cut for whatever reason.
It could have been, yeah.
It doesn't feel out of tone for that show, but it kind of just feels like it was part of a promo piece that never got used.
Yeah, and of course they had Brandon Routh do the classic end of the Superman movies fly around the Earth shot with the John Williams music playing.
Hey, you might as well, right?
Which was a nice touch. I guess the only real criticism here is that they didn't include maybe like a shot at one of the animated shows. Like, go to Batman the Animated Series or something just for the animated shows around the multiverse too. Just do it.
Yeah,
we assume they are, but just show one of them.
It's just more awkward, I guess. It's more jarring.
Because they've confirmed the Burton Batman. They've confirmed the Ruth Reeves Superman, and I guess to an extent they've confirmed the recent movies, because they had the big cameo. There was tinged in irony, and I say irony for a couple of reasons. So Ezra Miller, right, has a cameo when Barry's going through the Speed Force in the first half of this. He runs into Ezra Miller, and he's in his Flash outfit for the movie, and they're like, hey, your suit's different in there, but they're both kind of admiring the better elements of each other's suits. And they both say they're Barry Allen.
Somehow the most like Barry Allen Ezra Miller has ever sounded.
He's just mimicking the other one. That's all he's doing.
Yeah, but still, it works.
And even Grant Gustin, I don't really think is that Barry Allen. What I think when I read Barry Allen in the comics, he's nothing like Grant Gustin.
No, that's fine.
But. And they have this moment, he fades away, and it's whatever, right? It's just a goofy bit of fan service Easter egg, and which is fine. There's a lot of Easter eggs that are just goofy fan service.
To be fair, there's a lot less of them in this half of the event than there was in the first half.
Oh yeah, that's because we're not jumping around the multiverse as much, barring the ending when Oliver Spectre, Ghost, whatever he is at that point, is giving his speech. So this is tinged with a couple of tints of irony. I've mentioned this before on the show. Ezra Miller was announced as the Flash for the Justice League movie the day that the Flash TV show premiered. He was supposed to have a movie out in 2018. It is currently slated to shoot in 2020 for 2021.
Yeah, sure, whatever.
It's on like its fourth or fifth director.
Yep. God knows how many writers.
I still don't believe it's going to happen, not with Ezra Miller. I think it's going to be essentially rebooted before it happens now. So it's really funny to me. Assuming that's true, and he never really gets his Flash movie, and we never see Ezra Miller Flash in a movie again. Maybe they'll give him a cameo in one of the other solo movies, but the only time we got to see him again, it was on the Flash TV show.
Yeah.
And that was their big get from the movies.
Not even in an episode of The Flash.
True, yeah, it was on Arrow. Technically. That was really noticeable in this crossover, which one was which, really. A couple of legends were in the Legends episode. Honestly, the only jarring thing in terms of who was in what episode in this pair was that I thought it was really weird at the end that Iris wasn't around in Star Labs but it was just Barry and Caitlin watching like the sad TV, Oliver News, right?
Yeah,
and I'm like,
weird.
I was like, where's Iris and Cisco? Like, I'll buy the rest of them not being there, but Iris and Cisco feel weird not being there.
Or take away Caitlin and just have Barry and Iris.
Yeah, that would have worked. Yeah, because they're the couple, so that would work. Or even or do it with Barry and Iris in their house, in the apartment.
Yeah,
that would work perfectly. But it's it's almost like they go into this crossover 5 episodes and they say, okay, you can have Candice Patton for 3, and you've used all 3, so you can't have her in that ending. So you just have to have her not be there.
Pretty much. I think that is pretty much exactly how it happens. Just contractually, of okay, we can only use this amount, or we have to pay her way too much more.
And it's annoying because I feel like that's fine. I'm not saying they should not do that because I understand the financial reasons for it, but make your choices better. That's basically what I'm saying. Because this was really jarring, just her not being there.
It was. It's frustrating. It's one of those things where I get it, but it bothers you anyway because it takes you out of the moment.
Yeah, because instead of like just feeling believable that everyone can just interact with each other, I'm seeing the paperwork. I'm seeing the scheduling behind the screen.
It's honestly probably the most frustrating thing about these crossovers consistently because I think now looking at this as a whole, I like it a lot more than I did before Christmas. But I do feel the cast kind of being juggled more than I really should.
Yeah. And they made a notable point of not having any of the legends other than the ones. I mean, the only one we saw that we saw Ava and I was going to say Nick because he's Nick Zano, but Nate, thank you. Like we saw them, right? But otherwise, it was just Mick and Sarah and Ray again, right? Because
sorry, hold on, our Lord and Savior as well.
Well, I wasn't going to include him because he's not an actor, right?
Still, there's a reason it was only in the Legends episode.
Yeah, but I mean, don't get me wrong. Bebo became the best part of this whole crossover. But the point I'm making though is that they made that point of not sure, and that's because they've not even dealt with the fact that we had a replacement because the timeline got altered. Zari became a boy, became a brother, and so they kind of just ignored all that stuff. And okay, fine, I get it, because this last episode was technically Legends episode 1 of the season, which is really weird. And they said it was weird because they had to shoot this like really late in their schedule. So this was like they hadn't quite finished their season, but it was like they'd done like maybe 12 out of 16 episodes of their season, and then they shot this.
Even though they're a mid-season show and they know that they're a mid-season show, they still shoot starting with all the others. So it's kind of weird.
Which is cool because it means there's like, unless there's like a reason there's something on, there'll be no skipped weeks.
Yeah, there might be a scheduling reason for specific reasons, but never just to let the production catch up. Yeah,
but if that happens, it'll maybe be once in the season, so it'll be a pretty consistent 16 weeks of Legends, which is nice. But so no, I do feel it. I felt it in this. Even though Legends likes to crack some meta jokes about did we not get invited to the crossover, yada yada yada.
There's like 2 or 3 like, do you guys shanghaied into the crossover again?
Yeah. But to the point now where okay, you're almost overdoing it. You're starting to annoy me how much you're pointing out that like all the Legends are just sort of avoiding the crossover now. But hey,
still funny for me.
So out of these two episodes, I think the first one was just okay. I think the last one, which was mostly set after the crisis itself, was a lot more fun.
Yeah, the last one is actually an almost fairly direct adaptation of the final issue of the original series.
And I liked the last one quite a bit because it felt a bit more focused. I felt like the fourth part was wasted a lot of time, and it made a lot of the Paragons feel useless. Like, I'm not really sure why Batwoman was even there. She was just kind of standing around and then was in the fight, but they had nothing really to do. Jean, neither really. The only reason why Jean was there is so that he could give everyone their memories back when he came back, because he had to be able to remember everything.
Needed the telepath there for that, yeah.
But as an actual Paragon, I mean, maybe that's the purpose of him being a Paragon, sure, but in the actual, crisis itself, when he's dealing with it and he's in there in the fight, he doesn't feel that relevant or important.
No.
Supergirl and Lex and Ryan bizarrely get most of the good stuff. Flash is technically needed because there's a lot of Speed Force shenanigans going on and he's kind of like gathering everyone. But that's basically it. And obviously Spectre Oliver's quite important, but I felt like a lot of episode 4 felt like typical kill time shenanigans. Add in with the weird time jump at the start that didn't make a whole lot of sense. And
yeah, that was fair. I found it mostly enjoyable enough, though. I found it more focused than the first half of the crossover. I think by the end of that first half, I was kind of bored of jumping around constantly and look, here's another cameo. And this felt like it had a lot more direction and purpose to it.
I think it's because I'll be honest. I think a lot of the Speed Force stuff felt completely and utterly pointless.
All the visiting the memories of
Batwoman seeing Oliver talk to Ray. All these other different moments. Although notably, when they go to the invasion memory and it's like Oliver and Kara, I noticed they put Kara in her old outfit, which looks much better, by the way. I missed that old outfit. But they didn't try giving her a wig this time, like they did in Supergirl a few episodes ago. They said, you know what, we'll just accept the continuity error and have her in the bangs because it won't look stupid.
Yep.
I think that was the right choice.
The right call.
It was the right call. And I'm not going to lie, I think that better suit made the bangs look better. I
told you the bangs were good.
I think the bangs are multiplying with the suit to make it feel overall worse. That's my opinion on this.
Okay, I'm with it. I think the bangs are good with the other suit. I think that they look better than her hair before. With this suit, I mean, they're not helped by the suit, I think is what we're saying here.
I'm not a bangs man, right? There's some exceptions, right?
This is an exception.
This is not an exception. Zoe Deschanel is an exception.
This is also an exception.
Benoist, I think, looks better without the bangs. But that's neither. The point being is, like, she's in her old suit, but without the stupid wig. So fine. I will say though, Kara did have probably my favourite line of maybe all 2 episodes at the start when Ryan and Lex have built their doohickey to try and teleport somewhere. Although the question is, where they're going to teleport? That's a really good question because there's really nowhere to go.
Nothing out there.
Yeah. And I think I don't know who volunteered. Maybe Jean volunteers to go or whatever. And Kara turns and says, "No, we've lost enough good people. Lex, thanks for volunteering." That was really funny and cold, but it made sense. You know what? At this point, why risk anyone else? Lex is the expendable one.
Speaking of Lex,
yes.
I kind of want to throw Supergirl under the bus a little bit here. The show, not the character.
Sure.
The final scene of its season before this, when it was doing the bits just to set up the crossover, right at the end of its last episode, and we saw Lex. I think it was in the Supergirl show that we saw this.
Oh yeah, and he's talking to the monitor.
Yeah. And he talks about dealing with his sister. And we were like, oh, that's going to be a thing. And then...
It was irrelevant.
What? You could have ignored that entire thing.
My only thing, because I've actually seen the little teaser for the next Supergirl.
Okay.
She seems to remember things. Now, whether that's because Jean's giving her memories back, or maybe this is more to do with the deal with the monitor, and that's why she remembers everything. I don't know, but maybe that's what it is. It could just be as simple as that.
Broke their own continuity already.
Well, that was the other thing. The Reverse Flash teased that he was going to be in Crisis. He said, "I'll see you in the Crisis." Basically, the last time we saw him.
Oh yeah, he did,
and he never did. Now maybe he means Infinite Crisis, which is in 2 years' time. I don't know, but
I'm game for that.
But like, he never showed up. Because, well, I will say, like, this is the thing. We'd already made the choice to quit, this show and quit reviewing these shows. But if there's one thing that made me kind of interested in Supergirl is that they've completely changed the status quo, and it seems like Lex is going to be a recurring thing again, because he's alive again and he's getting a Nobel Prize, and no one knows he's a villain except Kara.
And him, because he's got his memories still.
Yeah, and obviously Jean gives Alex her memories back and a couple of the others. So I mean, the key characters know, but the world doesn't. The world doesn't know that he's this criminal mastermind.
This is how we're getting President Lex.
And it made me wonder, because obviously the big news this week is that they've officially greenlit the first season of Superman and Lois. If they still call it that, who knows? I can see them changing the title. I can see that's been a working thing, but it makes me wonder, like. John Cryer seems to be enjoying himself. Like, is he going to sign on to that as a regular? Is he going to be on the Superman show?
I mean, he could. The level of actor he is, it's not unfeasible.
Yeah, he's not some huge name, and they can't afford him or anything like that. So I could see that happening. And obviously, Superman has two sons, which we did not see coming. Because we were expecting John Kent. We didn't expect. So I don't know what the second one's called, but.
I'm actually intrigued with this because there was all the casting calls before, and we all thought it was all like John, and it sounded like his Damien, right? All the way it was described in the casting. Now I'm like, is this just his brother? Maybe
they're doing John and Damien, but because they don't have a proper Batman to like sort of take it from, they're just going to have a brother Damien.
that could work. I'm okay with it.
And obviously he'll have superpowers, and he won't be exactly like Damien, but I can see that. I can see the dynamic being. Kind of Damien-esque.
What if he doesn't? What if he's resentful because he doesn't get the powers?
Oh, only one kid gets the powers. So he goes and trains with Batwoman for a summer, and he comes back and says, okay, now I'm a badass, and I don't care that you've got powers. I'm better than you. All right, okay, I can see it.
You're saying how the status quo on Supergirl is completely shifted, and theoretically it is.
Now, don't get me wrong. They still have Andrea. They still have Leviathan shite. They still have all the things I don't like about it, but they did have. They have this big wrench now thrown in with Lex like being the leader of the DEO, where he's going to like say, let's go after Leviathan together.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. It's the sort of thing where if better writers were on Supergirl,
I'd be excited. Yeah.
Not only would I be excited, but I'd be likening this to the mid 2/3 point of the first season of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. with that reveal.
Sure,
the way Winter Soldier impacted that and kind of went forward. I can kind of see it, kind of the similarities to this here.
I mean, there's always a possibility, because season 4 was probably the strongest season after the first, right? There's always a chance that the reason why this season's been so rough is because they knew they were going this way, and they couldn't really start what they were doing until after Crisis.
They just didn't know what to do for 6-7 episodes.
Yeah, because they always knew that eventually what this was really going to be about was Lex being here, and Lex being the leader, and going after Leviathan with Supergirl, and that was going to be the real meat of the season. But they had to stall until then. If that's the case, it's annoying as shit that they couldn't just do some standalone adventures, just tease Leviathan and do some standalone stuff that's fun.
Yeah, just do whatever.
But no, they had to do all that. I mean, again, that's making some assumptions, and if that's the case, then that means the rest of the season will be better than cool. But if not, then this is just all a bunch of nice hype for very little gain after the fact. Speaking of other changes, Diggle has both a daughter and a son now.
Yeah, I was a little. Is this supposed to be like he's already adopted the other kid, or is this just both his kids?
I took it as both his kids.
Because I couldn't remember what the kid actor looked like.
Yeah. Well, but because they had, because it was like a timey-wimey thing that swapped them in the first place, I assumed that this gave them both. It was like,
it's very possible. Yeah,
that's the way I took it. So because that was the other thing, we don't see Mia at all at the ending here, and that was really weird because she was such a big part of those first three.
Yeah, I suspect that's because they're doing the whole thing with her next episode on Arrow. Because I saw, I don't know if you saw this, they kind of released a first image.
Yeah, I saw it. No, I mean, I get that all the media with her will come now, but again, during that whole minute of silence on TV thing that we couldn't have cut to her, with the Arrow team, it felt so weird.
Yeah, I was wondering, does she maybe not exist entirely in this world at the minute?
Or she didn't come back in time because everything.
Yeah, because no one references her. Like, no one's,
true.
when they're all down in the Arrow cave and mourning and stuff, and No one asked about Mia. No one references her at all.
True. Yeah, but they'll get their memories back though, so they should know her.
They should. Yeah. I don't know.
Post memory coming back, they should be mentioning her. So again, it's one of those jarring things, and I'm sure the next episode of Arrow will explain, where she is, what she's up to, because it's the backdoor pilot next episode. So for her show, which interestingly wasn't greenlit, because I was expecting that to be greenlit for next season too, which it probably still will be. But I just thought, you think
maybe they're actually waiting to see the reception on the episode first.
Maybe. Because I was actually wondering if there was going to be a big Superman thing at the end, because they announced that the day this aired, they announced, hey, the Superman show's happening, it's greenlit. I was half expecting there to be like some sort of big tease at the end. I guess the Two Sons thing kind of is the tease, but I was kind of expecting there to be like a big moment for him at the end to like sort of set up that, hey, we're going to have Superman.
Yeah, I get that. I actually thought the Green Arrow and Canary show was interesting looking in the sense that we know it is set in the future, but they're not doing the stupid old age makeup with Laurel and Dinah,
which makes us think they're going to the future.
I assume so.
Which, I mean, fine, whatever.
Yeah,
why not? Other stuff around here. I mean, I enjoyed Supergirl and Flash realizing they're on the same Earth and that they've always been in the same Earth. And
they're like, oh, sorry, she's one of my villains.
I think we've been guessing this happening every crossover for the last 3 years. So obviously, Crisis was the one they finally did it on. Marv Wolfman gets a big cameo.
That was nice.
So, if you don't know who that is, he's a big comic book writer and obviously was involved in Crisis itself. So,
yeah. And they got the Perez reference in as well.
Yeah. There was also a Gardner, like, Plaza or something like that at one point.
Was it? Okay.
Yeah. Presumably for Gardner Fox.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So that was that. So everyone seems to know each other and they're all on the same Earth now. There's a new president. All these things have changed and whatnot.
Yeah. Lightning shows up in Star Labs and helps him out.
Yeah, he helps out. He's in the same Earth now too, and Jean went to him as well and gave him his memories back.
I've just remembered something. Sorry, we didn't get a Mia reference. We did get Ragman.
We did get Ragman. That's right.
Of all the things I was not expecting.
Yeah, because Mick sends Star City anyway because he's at a book signing for his books. And he's telling people it's okay to call him Rebecca, because that's his pen name.
I love that anyone who's not been watching Legends, they're like, what the hell is going on with Heatwave?
Oh dear. And obviously the big Bebo attack happens, and he's like, Bebo want hands, Bebo, and everyone's like, wait a minute. The 7 totems aren't, in place. Like, why is people here?
I love they're asking Sarah, like, what's going on? She's like, long story, and it's like Barry's like, hey, is this about that time where you all formed together and made a giant viewer? He goes, guess it wasn't a long story.
Yeah, Wally told him. That's why he knew that. Yeah, and obviously it turned out to be just a ruse. It wasn't real.
It was Sargon the Sorcerer, which was cool.
Mick figures it out because he's like, well, I know what I'd do if I was causing a distraction. It's just a bank robber. That's all it is. That's all it comes down to.
Classic.
Obviously it was fun to see Bebo. Now I do have one major, like, proper big complaint about Crisis as a whole, I think.
Cool.
So obviously the big climax in the final episode is them fighting the Anti-Monitor, right? And Anti-Monitor still exists even though they changed the past, blah 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 blah. But here's my problem. Is I don't think the Anti-Monitor is ever really that big a deal or threatening in this entire crossover. He never rises above guy in a goofy costume. He never feels like, like in the comic book, by the time they send off a team to go find, kill, go get him, right, and it ends up in the death of several characters, including Supergirl, it feels like, holy shit, this guy's like the biggest bad that they've ever faced, and how tough is he? And here, and Joe's actually funny. At one point, I think in the previous episode, someone references, it's 10,000 years in the past, right? So in 10,000, in 10,000 years, blah blah blah. And all I could think when he said, after 10,000 years, because he actually said that phrase.
I know what you're going to say because I did the exact same thing.
And all I could think was, after 10,000 years, I'm free. All I could think was Rita Repulsa from Power Rangers. So in the last part. In the last part, when he grows big, all I could think was, make my monster grow!
I did the exact same thing. Oh, oh, I'm so glad you brought that up because I'd completely forgotten. But as I was watching it, I was like, huh, that sounded familiar.
The men full Power Rangers just didn't have swords.
I mean, maybe that's why we got the Bebo.
Yeah, it was a really weird lineup as well when they go to fight him at the end, because I was noticing that Dreamer was there. Okay, you reminded of her earlier in the episode because she was there at the Lex, Nobel Prize thing. Because that was the thing, they were teasing who this Nobel Prize is for, and I'm like, oh, is it Lena? Is that what's changed? Lena's getting a Nobel Prize, and then it was Lex, and I was like, okay, this is kind of intriguing. But who's the other one that kind of surprised me that was in the lineup? There was one of the other side characters that was just kind of randomly there.
I don't know. John's got a new outfit.
Slightly new outfit, yeah.
Yeah.
Who was it? There was someone from one of the shows who I was like, oh, that's kind of random that they're there.
I don't remember the whole lineup. There was quite a lot of them, to be honest.
Because Wild Dog was there.
Yeah.
Obviously, Batwoman was there. I will say that when Batwoman showed up during the Bebo thing, I did love Kara getting really excited. She's like, oh, Kate's here too. She got all excited. Yeah. That was kind of delightful.
Because that Earth's merged in as well.
That was in a separate Earth.
Was it not?
Oh, that was always in Barry and Oliver's Earth.
Was it?
Yeah.
Oh, fair enough. For whatever reason, I thought it was in a separate one.
No, that was always Earth 1. That was always in the same world. This is now Earth Prime, by the way. Key detail.
Yeah. Yeah.
And obviously we see the other numbers of the other things. Titans doing patrol. Superman's. Earth. And nice touch with the branding of Superman is that it was now the yellow instead of the black, and the symbol showing that his Lois wasn't killed. So it means that he has a happier story now.
Yeah.
So
they fixed that.
That was a nice touch. Yeah, that was a nice touch. Yeah, I was going to say. I was trying to think of who
to figure out who was in the lineup. Yeah.
I don't know who it was, but there was someone who I just went, oh, they're there. Okay. Who was it? I'll go through all the side characters right now. Hold on. Who did Supergirl have? It wasn't Brainy. Alex was there, but it wasn't her I was thinking of. Was it Dreamer that surprised me? I don't know. I don't think it was. But she was there. Who was it for Arrow?
I don't know who it could have been.
Who was it from Flash?
Right, I'm looking at the lineup.
Okay, who's the lineup in this final fight? Superman was there. No one mentioned that he was coming. He was just there. They should really made up.
So we got Wild Dog, Dreamer, Diggle, Flash, Sarah, Kara, Jean, Alex, Batwoman, and Superman. That's the lineup.
Okay, maybe it was Dreamer I was thinking of then, but I do remember thinking it was weird that Superman, like, he was just there.
Yeah, that's what caught me, because he wasn't in the episode at all before that. There was no mention of him, and then bam, he's there.
Yeah, I don't know. It makes sense to go and get him, but I just, it was, it was kind of weird.
So I did like about this whole section in general. I like Sarah, stepping up. She's taken over Oliver's role as kind of the leader of the entire group.
Sure, yeah. No, I mean, I dug the action well enough, but it was just a big goofy fun fight, and it felt like they took him down fairly easily. It wasn't like a big huge thing. There was no kind of menace from him the whole thing, and obviously, as much as again, like, this is the thing, like the crossover did a decent enough job with the ending. Introducing the chair and the round table.
And pulling out and seeing it as the Hall of Justice.
Yes. Which, by the way, they used this Hall of Justice in like Invasion, which was like 3 crossovers ago. So I'm glad they remembered they have it.
Yeah, I was gonna say it was weird because this was where we saw in the memory.
Yeah. But they got the round table and it's got all the symbols and the chairs, 2 super chairs, of course, because there's 2 super characters. Black Lightning's got a chair.
It is really nice, to be fair.
Obviously, Sarah's kind of taking Wonder Woman's slot essentially.
Yeah.
And there's no Green Lantern, obviously. I presume Mia will take Oliver's chair when. I mean, I'm sure in the future though, so I suppose maybe not. But
maybe. I feel like they've just left the chair there out of respect.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, so they got a Flash, they got Martian Manhunter, and then whatever.
Yeah.
So I think it's funny though that they've got this round table, and then the rest it's just like an empty warehouse. Otherwise, it's just this big empty space.
Fill it up. I like it though. I like as an ending. Okay, we got the Hall of Justice, and we got them at the table.
I mean, they've essentially just formed the Justice League. Let's be honest. Let's call it what it is. This is the Justice League, and so it's true that Barry was a founding member because they mentioned that way back in like the Flash, like not pilot, but it was like the first few. It was the first time he talked to Gideon. Yeah. and bleep was teased right at the end. Because or it's not bleep, Gleek. Let me say it right, Gleek.
The Wonder Twins.
Wonder Twins' weird alien monkey thing. So that's cool. I mean, the moment was quite nice, right? And it was almost like, oh, do I really want to start watching these shows? And then I remembered what it felt like actually watching them, and I'm like, yeah, I think I do. But like
Same.
This ending though, it made me go, yeah, I'll jump back in for crossovers at the very least, because I feel like every time this group come back together, I'll watch that.
It's kind of weird that I'd say collectively right now the shows are kind of at the worst that they've ever been. Batwoman's fine.
Yes.
Supergirl and Flash are pretty much at their lowest, and Arrow is. I mean, to be fair, Arrow is probably its best it's been in years, but whatever.
It's done. It's ending.
It's done. Yeah. This episode, this crossover as a whole still makes me go, yeah, I want to watch that. I enjoyed this overall, and this ending is like, yeah, that's kind of great.
Yeah, the big Justice League set up all these teases of the other Earths and the future stuff to come from other services. That was pretty well done. It just kind of sucks that the actual week to week for most of these shows is really tedious. And the funny thing is we stopped watching Black Lightning because we're in an effort to try and make this feasible to keep doing this. Back at the start of the season, we said, "Oh, that one's quite separate." The funny thing is that it's not now. We'd have to catch up because it's officially in this Earth and will therefore likely be included in crossovers every year now going forward.
Yeah, probably.
And I'm sure eventually he'll bring the daughters for one of them.
It depends. Are they still shooting somewhere else? Because it might still be a scheduling.
True, they'll still do it eventually, at least once. I'm willing to bet you they will.
Yeah.
It's the same thing where even though they're technically in different Earths from the other stuff, like they're still, because we've had multi-Earth shenanigans before, there's absolutely no reason why at least once we can't get a Doom Patrol crossover, or at least once we can't do the Green Lantern show crossover, or whatever, They're all possible.
For a Doom Patrol crossover. What I want is Doom Patrol meeting the Legends.
Yes. That feels oddly just a match made in heaven.
It really does.
It just feels right, It is what it is. It's frustrating because I want to love the shows. I really do. I wish they were good. I wish they were better. In the CW,
you just want them to deliver on the promise that this ends with.
Yeah, and I feel like it will. I feel like, we'll probably ignore this until next crossover. Maybe we get the odd minor one. Like I can see there's just been like a Batwoman Supergirl crossover called World's Finest, right? Maybe like at some point down the road. I don't know if they want to go smaller with the big yearly crossover next year, just because I've just done Crisis, so to keep a smaller year.
That makes sense.
Yeah. So I don't know what they do necessarily. Maybe. Yeah, maybe you do maybe do a lot of pairs. Maybe do Supergirl, Batwoman, maybe do Flash, Black Lightning, do like a sort of lightning thing with those.
Yeah.
Do who else is left? Legends.
I think you Legends and the Green Arrow Canary show because.
Oh, future, yeah. Oh, yeah, and with Sarah's connection to those characters, it makes some sense. Because she's still a canary technically. So it's some things, and then Superman's going to be a show as well, so maybe that ties in. Do a big super family show with Supergirl. There's options.
I do think it makes sense to go small next year. I mean, even last year, while we really liked last year's crossover and it was, one of the best, it was objectively smaller than the one before.
I think it still may be the best. I think overall, in terms of just actual plotting, pacing, and overall enjoyment, I think last year's still wins.
It probably does. I think this has, it has the big ramifications and the big ending that.
Yeah.
I think the ending of this is probably a better moment than anything in last year's.
I think the sad part about this crossover is that because there was 5 episodes, maybe the middle 3 felt like some of those middle 3 were time killer. And a lot of the characters did that CW thing where they're just kind of standing around and not really that important to the plot. So a lot of the problems really came to the surface. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that you can't pick some of these faults out in Elseworlds as well, but it was less egregious because it was only 3 episodes and because they had a plot to get through. It did a really nice job at setting up this one as well, but whereas this crossover I think really sagged in the middle. I
think more specifically 2 and 3 for me. 4 was better than those, although it does have some problems, but it felt like it at least had some sort of momentum.
It's very reflective for me because I think 1 and 5 are definitely the highest. I think 2 and 4 are a fair bit weaker, and then 3 was definitely the worst. So it kind of like does this, V. There's like a V shape and the graph. Which sucks, but ultimately the high moments at the start and the end did work for me, so I'll give it that. Oliver's send off felt quite good.
Yeah, it really did.
For the most part,
I'm intrigued how they handle that, because they have confirmed no, he is dead. There's not shenanigans going on. They have said that there will be some sort of appearance by him in Arrow's last episode, because obviously, I don't know how exactly did it. Flashbacks, memories, whatever they do.
My guess, given that episode 9 is going to be the Green Arrow and Canary's backdoor pilot, my guess is that episode 10 is the funeral, and each character will have a flashback, one each.
Share a memory.
Yeah, they'll have a memory with Oliver, and that's how we'll see Oliver. That's why Felicity's back for the one episode, because she has to be at his funeral. Yeah, obviously. That's my guess. That would be my guess.
Yeah, and they did say, whether or not we see him at all again depends on what other shows want to do, and whether Amell wants to come and do anything himself. Like they said, we play with time travel all the time, so it's not out of the realm of possibility.
I can see him. I can see him being away for a year or two, and then he'll get the itch to just guest star occasionally. He's probably sick of it right now, but give him a bit of time off.
He's always been pretty invested. To be fair to him, say whatever you want about Arrow, but he's always done his best. And I think he comes across as a guy who gets very invested in his work, and puts a lot into it.
Yeah. A lot of my complaints with Arrow would not lie on him.
Very, very few. Maybe early on, but
yeah. I mean, the personality they write for Oliver isn't really the Oliver Queen from the comics, but I mean that's also true for a lot of the characters on these shows. So that's
okay.
I mean, it's okay to a point. I mean, it's frustrating in places though, because when they do nail it with some characters, it's like, well, could we not have this with the others too? The way Superman's dealt with in these shows, where he feels like they're actually trying to be Superman.
No, I get that. But I feel like this version of Green Arrow over the whole, as a character, not necessarily the writing of the plots and the stories, but just generally as a character, I'm okay with this version of him. I don't mind it. I would quite happily see this version again.
Yeah,
with better writers, but
it's what else? I mean, if this is kind of our ending, if this is our last hurrah of this show, I mean, a bit of a post-mortem then of things, because
of everything.
Kind of. I mean, not to like. I just since we're sort of saying Amell and we're talking about Arrow and whatever, it makes me think. I mean, Flash, was never perfect, but season 1 was relatively enjoyable. Season 2 was still pretty solidly fun, even if again it wasn't perfect. There was characterizations that weren't quite working. I remember even then thinking, we have to actually get more rogues together to form the rogues, and it never happened. We never really got the rogues properly, which is actually insane when you think about it, because the first sort of villainous thing I think about with Flash, except maybe Reverse Flash, is the rogues. It's kind of a staple of what the Flash is.
Basically, rogues, Reverse Flash, Grodd.
Yeah.
It probably in that order.
Yeah, I mean, I think the rogues are more persistent, presence.
Yeah.
But Reverse Flash is a much bigger threat.
I think no, that is true. Reverse Flash is a bigger threat and maybe has more individual, compelling stories that you prefer. I think if I think of the Flash, the first thing I think of as villains is the rogues, just because there's a group of them. They're there. They're so consistently present.
Yeah. And they never really achieved that. They had standalone episodes with some of the rogues, and the sad part is a lot of them did feel like they weren't really meant to be there for more than that one episode. They never felt they were supposed to be sticking around to form a team.
No, I mean it was kind of a laugh just seeing Weather Witch. I remember she exists.
Yeah, and that was the first clue actually, because it was Weather Witch in National City, and I'm like, wait a minute, that's a Flash villain. What's she doing here?
Yeah. I'll be honest. This is one of those things where, because it was such a direct adaptation, I knew exactly what this was doing. The original comic does this with Clark. Clark wakes up in his apartment. He's like, "What the hell's going on?" And goes out and like, something's not right. Shit's going weird. Just notice his things, and it does exactly the same just with Kara.
Yeah, and I'm sure. Well, my skepticism was just purely that I thought they might not have the balls to actually merge them. They might just bring back
Yeah.
all the Earths and just have it the way it was because it's a TV show.
Yeah, they kind of got it best of both ways. Okay, they merged all of their Earths and left everyone else to do their own things.
Yeah, yeah. So that's the thing now. Obviously, I expect there's more changes they're going to discover on their individual shows. Over the next episode or two of each one, they'll do a little reveal. They might even have a big one later on that's not relevant for a while that they'll whip out a big moment like.
Oh, what was the one after Flashpoint in Flash? The villain who was just like a good guy now and helped them out, and Barry was like, "What the hell's going on?"
Oh, it was
That's gonna piss me off.
Pied Piper.
Yeah, just one of those that'll just pop up later and be like, "Hang on a second." Like, whereas it's not that big a deal, but just not notice it for ages.
Well, Power Girl will show up. There'll be a Power Girl flying around, and everyone's like, "Yeah, Power Girl," and Kara's like, "What?"
Can you imagine?
But it was just me. And why is there a boob window?
Can you imagine if they did the boob window?
They couldn't. I could see them doing the outfit, but they'll just have that filled in. It'll just be like a.
Yeah, I mean that was I think they did that in the New 52.
Yeah, it'll just be. It'll be essentially the same outfit, just without the boob window. It'll just be solid white top.
Yeah.
Whatever. Maybe even slap the S on there. Why not? Let's be honest. The only reason why Power Girl didn't have the S in the first place is because the boob window needed to be there instead.
Pretty much. I always loved the story about the boob window, though.
Mm-hmm.
Where the guy just was convinced the editor wasn't paying attention, so just kept making it more and more obvious, kept making the boobs bigger every issue, and was just seeing how far he could push it until the editor caught on.
And the
Quite
editor,
far.
yeah, and the editor was just so into it that he didn't
question it.
Didn't question a thing. So weird. So, I mean, there's a whole plot. I mean, I didn't even talk about a lot of episode 4 where Lex tries to change reality for his own good. He has powers because he wrote that into the Book of Destiny or whatever.
It's as good a reason as any. Let's be honest.
Yeah, it was all just kind of fluff. Like, it didn't really amount to much or matter.
No. There was a nice thing with Ryan talking to Monitor.
Yeah, although I will say his fake beard was pretty iffy.
Yeah,
it really stuck out as being fake. I'm hoping they set him up because they do actually plan on maybe doing something with him. Maybe on Legends, maybe when Ray leaves, they'll maybe use him as some kind of Atom.
They made a whole point of going, okay, no, he's into miniaturizing tech. He knows what he's doing. Him and Ray got on with the microverse instead of the Atomverse naming.
Yeah. So I could see them maybe doing something like that. So hopefully they've actually set him up and they've named Ryan Choi because they actually want to use him again.
That would be nice, wouldn't it? If there are any of these shows that I trust to have actually had any sort of forethought and planning, it would be Legends.
Yeah. So that's cool. It was nice seeing Eva and Nate again because I've not seen them in ages.
I'm genuinely excited for next week to have Legends back consistently. Even if we're not reviewing it, it's like the one show I will actually watch weekly because I know I'm looking forward to it.
Whether I watch it weekly is really up for debate. I might even just let it build up and binge it. At the end of the season.
Whatever works for you.
Yeah. And I have no need to otherwise do it right now. Like I say, I might end up watching them all anyway, but I'll do it. I'll do it as background noise when I'm in the mood. Not because I have to every week. Not as this chore.
Yeah.
This burden
on a schedule where it's like we have to get these done right now.
No, I'll binge them. I mean, maybe I'll even end up watching them weekly, but I'll do it whilst I'm playing video games. I'll do it whilst I'm doing something else. I'll pay half attention because that's all they really need.
Pretty much.
You don't get annoyed at how little depth there is when you're not really paying attention enough. You're just kind of like taking the main plot beats as you're hearing them, and
just the yammering goes on.
Yeah. So, I mean, Crisis was obviously it's a step up from the regular episodes. I think the start and the ending were both very strong. But I do think it fails in being consistently good because I think the middle episodes, to varying degrees, were all they all felt like they were. I'd say there's at least one episode too many. You could have easily squished those middle three down to 2.
Yeah, no, I think there was one too many, and I think the momentum probably was lost with the break.
Yeah, I think the break was a bad idea. I also think that there was probably too many characters just that, and I'm not saying that every character should get like a proper arc or whatever, but they built up these 7 Paragons, and then 2 or 3 of them just felt like they were just there with no real purpose. And honestly, even the whole Paragon thing in and of itself, it didn't really feel like it was that important who was there for the fight. It just kind of felt like, yeah, this could have easily been any other character instead of this one. Like, there's no...
Pretty much.
Yeah, there was no real feeling to it, unfortunately. But the ending fighting stuff was good. I do think it's a shame that the Anti-Monitor never really was that menacing. He never really felt like he became anything other than just generic-looking Power Rangers villain. And I'm doing that intentionally, given all the Rita references earlier. So, overall, not as good as Elseworlds. Definitely much better than what the shows are normally, even if I noticed a lot more of that CW and this creeping in the middle.
Yeah. I'd say overall still pretty good. Not extremely good, not amazing, but pretty good.
Yeah, and like I say, some stuff at the ending almost tricks me into wanting to watch the shows again.
That's how they do it, isn't it? They just need that to last once a year. Give you that feeling like that's it. You'll stick around. That's their plan.
I don't think it can though, because I think the feeling from Elseworlds helped us through the end of last season's, but this first half of the seasons this year, like, it was not helping at all. I was miserable watching those shows every week.
No. Like Arrow actually building towards Crisis was one of the most tolerable things that we've watched.
Yeah. I think Supergirl really hurt, because Supergirl was usually one of the, out of the main ones, was the one that I usually found more enjoyable and less tedious.
And it was possibly the worst.
Possibly. Very possibly. So, yeah. That's it. That's the final television for the Multiverse. It's a shame, but unfortunately, we just can't do this to ourselves anymore.
My liver is very grateful.
I just can't do it. And one of the things we want to do this year is not force ourselves through things that feels like a burden and we're getting nothing out of. Now, it's one thing to try some bad pilots or whatever, or review some bad movies, because they're kind of one-off things, but having this, like, hanging over our heads every week and like taking up a full day of scheduling because we have to watch all the shows and then spend whatever time recording it. We just have better things we could be doing with that time. And
when we took it off our schedule, it freed up like an entire day.
Mm-hmm.
And we were just looking at this like yesterday, it's like, oh my god, look at all the things that we can do on these days now.
Yep. So that is TV from the Multiverse. Like I say, you'll probably get random little opinions and comments about it if I do happen to watch it in passing.
It'll be like here or there on one of the comics shows, on maybe the TV news. Definitely, if a news story comes up about one of these shows and one of us has happened to have watched some recently, it'll probably get brought up there.
Yeah. We'll probably be somewhat aware of it, but unfortunately, we're at a point now with comic book stuff where there's just too much, and there's a good chance the Disney Plus Marvel stuff will probably be, obviously not nowhere near as long or as many episodes, but there's a good chance that'll be better in quality. Obviously, Doom Patrol's a thing, and then I'm hoping Stargirl is good.
I'm so scared that it's going to be terrible.
I want it to be good so bad. That tease at the end of this made me really want to like it, and
I care about it more than like Doom Patrol going in. I was like, yeah, sure, whatever, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I ended up loving it. Swamp Thing, I wanted to be good, but I didn't need it to be amazing. But Stargirl and JSA is kind of my thing, and it's doing that, and I need that to be done well.
Yeah, and that was the smartest thing they could do with the tease at the end of this, by the way, was showing you a team moment. Because we've seen the trailer for Stargirl, and it looks like Stargirl. It's like a fun teen show, and hopefully it nails that a bit of that Buffy magic, as it were. The hit television show Buffy the Vampire Slayer has a little bit of that. If it has a little bit of that, then great. And hopefully it has something to really talk about. But it needs to be good. It's a rough place. There's so much stuff, because we're at a point now where this year's actually surprisingly kind of light on comic book movies. Although that said, it's kind of filling out with shit like Bloodshot and Morbius.
I'm oddly curious about Bloodshot. Having I don't think it'll be good, but I'm curious as to see how the hell it ends up.
I'm good.
And Morbius, I mean, I've got to. Like that's just like, what the hell? Like it's that sort of curiosity. It's how I feel about Morbius is how I felt this time last year about Hellboy.
No, none of this sounds good.
Yeah.
But starting 2021, there's going to be 4 Marvel movies a year. There's going to be 3 DC movies a year if what's currently scheduled sticks, and 1 or 2 of them I'm skeptical about. But still, in theory, 3
There's
DC.
bound to be at least 1 or 2 DC movies.
So that's 7. That's 7 before we get to any non-DC or Marvel stuff. And in TV shows, we're looking at 2 Disney Plus Marvel shows a year, plus maybe an ABC one if it gets going. DC's TV slate is absolutely nuts. Superman and Lois, especially if they pick up Green Arrow and the Canaries. I mean, hold on. Flash, Supergirl, Legends, Black Lightning, Superman, Batwoman, Green Arrow and the Canaries. So that's 7 shows if they pick up Green Arrow and the Canaries. And that's after Arrow's gone.
Yeah.
So that's 7 CW shows, and then Stargirl's kind of that and DC Universe. Then you got Titans, Doom Patrol, the animated stuff. If they get this Green Lantern,
we're not even touching on the animated stuff there.
Green Lantern HBO Max series, if that gets going, which is apparently in development.
I know they just announced at the TCAs tonight an Aquaman 3-part animated miniseries.
Okay, all right.
For HBO Max. So there might be more stuff as well. Like I just caught that out of their panel, literally right before we started recording.
Interesting that once again it's for HBO Max and not DC Universe.
I thought that was interesting as well. Although I didn't read into it, maybe it's one of those that's kind of on both.
Even if it's on both, it's still kind of another nail in the coffin.
Yeah.
Anyway, so what I just counted there got us to 10. So there's a very good chance that in the next couple of years there's going to be double digits in live action DC shows. Double digits. So picking and choosing is almost a necessity at that point. Especially with all these CW shows running for at least 16 episodes, most of them 22. So, yeah.
Sorry, I was just when they actually mentioned Doom Patrol on that HBO Max thing.
Oh, good.
They said, fan favorites with deeply loyal bases like Doom Patrol will have a home on HBO Max, where they'll be better matched with their audiences and have space on the platform to grow. How better match with your audience as a DC show than on the DC service?
That's really throwing DC Universe under the bus, to be honest.
It really is.
Yeah, that's weird. So I don't know. Although if I'm going to binge something soon, DC show-wise, it may actually be Titan Season 2, just because it's all done now.
I'm morbidly curious again, but I'm like, I don't know if I've got it in me. I need to be drunk.
I guess.
I can only get through 1 or 2 when I'm drunk.
It's something I'll put on when I'm doing stuff. I'm not sitting paying attention to it. Doom Patrol and Legends get my attention. Everything else gets the casual sort of watch as I'm doing something.
Yeah. Stargirl TBC.
Yeah, obviously the pilots of new shows will get my attention and I'll see how they are and go from there. But yeah, there you go. That's it. Crisis Infinite Earths. This is the final television for the multiverse. If I do, keep watching anything or watch stuff casually, my live streams are probably a good place as well to ask me about them if I am caught up or do watch anything. Or Twitter, of course. No doubt I'll complain about various things on Twitter. But like I say, we do have several comic book shows, comics from the multiverse, our regular DC Comics podcast, which is both of us plus Matt every week, goes out on Sunday nights. Sunday nights 8 p.m. UK time, 3 p.m. Eastern, and noon Pacific. Is when that goes live every single Sunday, and it's us talking about the new DC comics from that week. Previously, the multiverse is every other week. It's just me and Connor, and it's working our way through old DC comic book runs. So we just started that. Episode 1 just went out. Sometime next month or so, there's going to be Elsewhere in the Multiverse, which is going to be on the other 2 weeks, on the other side of previously, where we talk about, other types of books, Marvel books or whatever, that we're keeping up on. So if you're interested in those, do check them out. Well worth doing. Otherwise, guys, yeah, this is it. This is TV for the multiverse.
Again.
Again.
Actually, last time I don't think we did an announcement.
No,
did we?
no.
Because
Last time we were supposed to have another episode, and then we just because we had 2 episodes of Swamp Thing to watch, and we just couldn't bring ourselves to watch 2 episodes of the Swamp Thing back to back. We just
That's
couldn't
right.
do it.
You watched one of them, and just like can't. So
I can't do it.
You have to live knowing that for all of the rest of the world's time, you watched one more episode of Swamp Thing than I did.
It was the same reason why this was going way back, but it's the same reason why we stopped reviewing Agent Carter, because there was and this wasn't because we fell behind. There was a couple of weeks where ABC just put on 2 episodes, and this was the second time they'd done it in season 2. It was like episodes like 5 and 6 were on the same night, and I just couldn't watch 2 episodes of that show back to back. I just couldn't do it because it was so boring.
and that was when we learned, if you're feeling like that, there's just no point.
Yeah, there's no point. There's no point in even pretending, because you're not going to get any, like, at that point, any objective opinions I have. Now, admittedly, I would argue that there's objective reasons why I've gotten to that point, but ultimately, at that point, you're not going to get anything useful out of me when it comes to the show. You're going to get me complaining and ripping it to shreds, which may be entertaining, but there's only so much of it I can put myself through. Carter's just frozen. That's fine. I'm doing my outro anyway. Thank you very much, guys, for joining us. Thanks to our Patreon producers. I'll thank them right now. David Shaw, Alison M. Forday, Cindy Pelagius, and Tyler Hess. That means they're $20 up on the patreon.com/MailFuzzTV. But you can, of course, support us for as little as $1 per month over in Patreon. Helps us out a lot. So go and do that. Carter just messaged me saying I think my internet cut out. Good timing. But it's fine. I'm just outroing the show on my own. It's fine. Go and get us on at DC Comics Podcast on Twitter. Obviously check out other stuff we do. Everyone at MailFuzz TV, me, Connor, Matt, Tim, and Tara all did our top 50 movies of the decade. 2 parts of that up so far. It's a 10-part series. Maybe interested in that on the YouTube channel. Well worth going and checking out. Obviously, you can still expect movie reviews of the comic book movies that come out as they come from some of us. Sometimes, usually me and Matt, but sometimes Connor will be involved in those too. So you can look forward to those. And like I say, I'll probably still casually watch a lot of this shit, just not properly and not for review. So I'll still have opinions from time to time, but I can't do it anymore, guys. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm miserable. I'm just miserable. So thank you once again for watching or listening. We always appreciate it. Keep watching silly superhero TV shows, even if I'm not. And remember that sometimes we screw things up for the better.